Hello, welcome to Lakers Live postgame show presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. Lakers get the win, 122 to 115. Close game, no defense in the fourth quarter. A lot of things to talk about. Medina.
Mhm.
Uh, Obviously, the good side of the factor is we got LeBron, we have AD, we have Drummond, we have a healthier Lakers team, and it definitely shows what happens when you add a healthy Lakers team to a big picture. Um, Great game for those guys. They were great tonight.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Shout out to LeBron. He was my player to watch. He had 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. I mean, that's a great first game back. Uh, in my opinion, if you ask me, I was hoping he'd go for 30. That's okay. He came in clutch at the end. He ended up winning us the game, or else God knows what would have happened if he didn't make that 3 pointer with that layup in the end. And
Yes.
oh man, that saved our butts. Shout out to Anthony Davis too, my other boy. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Drummond, 11 points, 15 rebounds. My goodness. I'm really happy with all of our starters today. Dennis Schroeder, 14 points. KCP, 13 points, and he shot 3 for 6 from the 3 point line. Everyone, great job, terrific. I mean, up until that last quarter, of course, that's when things started going downhill. I mean, in my opinion, though, I feel like Kuzma let me down today. By he played 22 minutes and only had 6 points and only 1 rebound. Aaron, this is
Yeah.
not what we like to see from Kuzma. At one point in the game, too, LeBron and AD pulled Kuzma to the side, and they were like, "You gotta just get more involved with the game, Kuzma. Just because we're back, it doesn't mean you play inconsistent again. Like when these guys are sitting out, you need to be the one to step it up."
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just terrible fourth quarter. Like the last 4 minutes of the game, I think we went like a good 4 minutes without scoring a point. And every time we would get like almost a 10 point lead, the Pacers would come back and cut it down to 3 points again. And I'm like, what's going on? Like we don't really have an excuse anymore because we have all of our players back. We have LeBron and AD out there, but there was no defense whatsoever in that last quarter, and that's why they almost came back and we could have lost the game. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. But there definitely could have been better. I feel like the Lakers need to really work on that fourth quarter closeout. I feel like this happens literally every single game, whether LeBron and AD are part of it or not. This is just like something that we've always seen from the Lakers, and we got to do better with that. What do you think, Aaron?
Oh yeah. Um, Late game situations.
Hmm.
You gotta have an identity there that says, "Hey, look, we have to score buckets. You cannot, especially going into the playoffs here, you can't just go scoreless in a fourth
Hmm.
quarter. You can't, we I feel like we say it a lot. Is we're always saying like you can't give another team life, and Manny especially is preaching out to that always with us. He couldn't make it today as well. Um, but he is always preaching like that you don't want someone to go off. You don't want, in this case, Samson decided just to have, you know what, I'm just going to put up some crazy numbers today and I'm just going to shoot and I'm going to shoot. And that's what they say, shooters do shoot. So
Hmm.
the Lakers just got to work on keeping momentum throughout the whole game. You can't be happy. You cannot be happy with having we have an 11-point lead. Okay, no big deal. All is good. You can't just let yourself get like that. Lakers' biggest lead they had in the game was 14, but they every time we got a lead, they came right back because
Right
Lakers
back.
were kept letting it back in. Obviously, that has to do with the defense too, because defense isn't there. It's not. You're not going to click on the off. You're not. Your offense isn't going to click to your defense. Your defense ain't going to click to your offense. There's things that there's work to be get done, as we would say. Lakers just weren't sharp on the defensive end, and I feel like that had to do with their offensive struggles towards the end. That 4 minutes and 25 seconds, they went without scoring a bucket. I think obviously had to do with a lot of the paint, the paint issues, the scoring, the defense. too many easy layups they were getting, too many easy putbacks, too many silly stupid fouls we were giving
Mhm.
up. Lakers, we just got to clean this up, and we have one more game to do it before there's no room for error.
Oh yeah, we let the Pacers score 60 points in the
Yeah.
paint. That's not good, no. And they shot 51% from the field goal line. I mean they were terrible at the three-point line. Shot 27%. They were 9 for 33. Um I mean, but thankfully, I mean, their Lakers turnovers were significantly less today. They both had the same turnover rate, both the Pacers and the Lakers. So, I mean, that wasn't too bad. The Lakers, however, they shot 37% from the 3-point line. They were 11 for 29. There goes their 3-point. I mean, at the end too, LeBron was taking a lot of threes and that he was missing. But I mean, thankfully, he eventually came in clutch with one of them, and that's when he found his rhythm back, and that's what ended up, happening for us to win the game. But other than that, I was getting so frustrated watching him because I'm like, bro, just take it in the paint. Like that's what you're known for doing. Like that's what
Yeah.
you're best at doing. I mean, if anyone's gonna shoot from the 3-point line, give it to KCP. He was having a hot game. But other than that, just take it in the paint because that's where we start leading and that's where we dominate. And I just don't understand why this Laker team just wants to be a 3-point shooting team sometimes.
They like to frustrate us, You just
They like to
they
keep us on
like
our toes every game, every
e-
single game.
every game. We can't just sit like, you almost have to ask yourself, like, when's the last time I was able to actually just sit and the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers were up like a 14-point lead, 15-point lead with 3 minutes to go this game and put away, not to worry. No, no, no. Like now it's every game. It's the fourth quarter. It's, first few minutes are great. Then all of a sudden you're getting to like 4 minutes left in the game, 3 minutes left in the game, and then we're wondering what happened to the offense, what happened to the defense, why is nobody talking on each other
Every game.
every game?
It's like, what's going on? Like, what do we need to do differently in the last 5 minutes of the game, Aaron, for us to, like, every game we have this great lead, and then all of a sudden we just start sleeping? Is it because the Lakers think like they have the game, they're not going to come back, they're playing comfortably? What's going on?
Yeah. And we have Dylan in here telling us as well. Says, look, LeBron needs to go to the paint. And in this situation right here, Lakers could absolutely avoid all these 3-point disasters. I get it. If you're wide open, take the shot. Like if you're feeling confident, take it. But your bread and butter should be in the paint. After you scored 80 plus points in the paint in the Houston game, there is no excuse. There's no excuse for why the Lakers just decided to rely on their threes. Kuzma didn't look sharp as well.
No.
It just the chemistry, the vibes that I was seeing with the Lakers, how they were playing today. Obviously, they're trying to figure each other out again. It's been a while, and you know what, the Schroeder especially too. Because I'm gonna criticize him because, look, yes, you shot decent, you shot okay, you got
Mm-hmm.
14 points in the game, but I'm sorry, you make terrible, you made a spot bad time for terrible turnovers, back to back turnovers. I was like, what is this, THT all over again?
I know.
And then we saw what happened. I mean, obviously, what he happened, he cleared his name out really quick. But I mean, it's like, man, you can't be careless with the basketball.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing that's just so frustrating as a Lakers fan. Um, you can't be careless. You can't have, you can't lose that momentum. You got to win. You got to put your foot down. You can't let, you can't let Levert and Sampson. Obviously, highlight to Manny as well, because Manny even said, "Look, Levert is a great scorer and he shoots." And like, I mean, he put up great numbers. I mean, don't get me wrong, he put up 28 points. They allowed him to get 28 points, and then this guy Sampson played 20 minutes and probably had one of his best games of the entire season.
Yep.
We just can't give these other teams that hope to say, hey, I'm a nobody right now and I'm just going to have a career night off the Lakers. There's no room for that anymore.
I think the
And shout out
Lakers
to
just
Manny.
love to give the spotlight to these no-namers.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I don't know if is this really true? Erod breaking Heart Lonzo. This has to be a joke, right?
I mean, maybe they might be now. I mean, hey, you never know. I mean,
If that's the
honestly,
case, then damn, that should be an easy win tomorrow night too.
seriously, if it is honestly the case, it will be much easier to deal with. But I think maybe it was a joke. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, we'll check into it. But
Even if it's not a joke, we'll still win tomorrow night. We'll probably have a little bit of anxiety in the fourth quarter as usual, Aaron, but Lakers will pull through as usual.
yeah, I think Manny's gonna be torn tomorrow because his boy Lonzo's playing. If he
Oh,
does play, you know,
no,
he's
Manny
he's
wants
gonna
us to clinch that sixth seed spot. He's got to not be a Lonzo fan for one night.
for one night, Manny.
For just one night.
But and obviously the Pelicans are eliminated. So, but you know, obviously I just feel like the Lakers tonight or today, I should say. It's weird. Normally we say tonight,
Yeah, tonight.
uh, you know, I'm not gonna criticize them so much on the turnovers because I normally say this all the time, 10 or less I'm happy with. Like I'm okay. Like I think we only had 7 turnovers going into the fourth quarter, and I was like, okay, I'm all right with that. I'm okay. You know, just when you get sloppy towards the end of the game, there's no room for that. And
Yep.
that's where I was like, you know, they have to say to themselves, look, this game should have the Lakers should have easily won this game by at least 20 points tonight. Like you let them hang around here too long in this game.
I mean, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be that big of a blowout game. Although it would have been lovely to see that and have our guys sit and have our bench players start. Like, I mean, I would have loved to see Jared Dudley back on the courts tonight. That's what
Me
I was kind of
too.
hoping for. But I mean, like I said in the beginning, the pregame show, Aaron, don't underestimate these low seeders because they always want to come out and play their toughest game against the Lakers. And the Lakers let it happen every time. Like it's always a close call game. We've seen it all week against the Knicks. Well, no, not the Knicks. The Knicks are actually really good this year, but the Rockets, today's game, it's just we struggle the most against these low seeders, but we play our best basketball when we're going against the top teams. It's really weird seeing that. It's like the Lakers want to have this energy against the teams that like they know that are going to go in the playoffs, but then like they sleep on these other teams that they feel like they're probably going to have an easy win, or they just don't want to put in as much energy and effort. But I mean, like I said before too, every game counts at this point, so you got to give it your all for all these games when you're the seventh spot. And we were trying to avoid the play-in tournament.
Yeah. It's a frustrating time to be a Lakers fan. What can we say? Uh
Yeah, it's been a rocky season for sure for
it
us.
it has. I mean, it's a season that you know, obviously it started one way and it ended where it's at right now. And there's hopefully, you know, we just got to keep going. You know, and the biggest
Yeah.
thing for the Lakers right now is keep momentum going. You know, you have to finish out this next game versus the Pelicans, finish out the regular season, and honestly, the people have been asking me like, "Hey, Aaron, where do you think where do you think the Lakers are gonna finish? Where do you think what do you think is gonna do? Like, there's no way Portland's gonna let them let Denver come out there and beat them on their home court." I says, I says whatever happens. I says whatever. Honestly, I said if we play in the play-in tournament, that's cool. You know, whatever. The Lakers get to be part of a play-in tournament, and hopefully it'll be the first and the last time.
Hopefully.
But it's we've talked about it all before how we feel about the play-in tournament. And you know what? In the end of the day, the Lakers can the only people they could be mad at about about if they have to play in this tournament, which obviously Lakers win tomorrow. A Lakers win tomorrow and a Portland loss tomorrow. Lakers get the 6th seed, avoid the play-in tournament. If not, Portland wins and the Lakers win. Portland's a tiebreaker, so Portland will get the 6th seed. The Lakers will get the play-in tournament, and the winner of the Warriors and Memphis game. So that'll be who they play. But no matter what happens, the Lakers put themselves there. There's nobody else to blame but them. they needed to win those games. They needed to win that game against Portland,
Oh
and
yeah.
they let that game slip away. They should have closed that game out. And these are the kind of areas right now that it's hurting you because, you needed to start building a momentum vibes here, and Lakers unfortunately just was letting that slip away, and they put themselves there. There's nobody else they can blame but themselves, and they just got to say, you know what, if we play in the play-in tournament, let's go. Just it keeps you hungrier to get there and get in the first round and keep going.
I know. I just can't even imagine a playoff. I mean, I know we've seen it for many years, but I just can't imagine the Lakers not going into the playoffs this year. Or playoffs without LeBron James is just, it's not going to be fun to watch without them in it. So, I mean, as LeBron does not seem worried. Whatever happens, even if he's in the play-in tournament, he says he's not worried. And if the king himself says it, Aaron, I'm not worried either. I feel like the Lakers got this. Even though we've been struggling to win these past few games, the Lakers know what they're doing. We can't underestimate this team either. We've had a rocky season. We've had so many injuries that we have to deal with. It's just the crazy scheduling, everything. Just it was all for something, and I just feel like this team is going to come out strong, whether they clinch the sixth seed or not. You're gonna see the Lakers in the playoffs, hopefully, because they didn't give it their all for no reason this season. They played their hearts out. They played without their main guys. This team has struggled so much, and yes, we've been frustrated along their journey with them, but it's all for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all and honestly, everything happens for a reason when it comes to sports and it comes to anything, no matter what it is. Um, but the Lakers just got to say, look, we can't be afraid of nobody. And obviously, if I'm looking at if Denver, if it is the case, or we do play Denver, and we get the sixth seed, and as they say, the marbles fall the right way in the favor of the Lakers. Um, Great, we played Denver before. If not, and we have to play the Warriors or Memphis, we've beaten both of those teams before as well. So I'm not so worried. I'm not worried about this Lakers team because when we are healthy, we're easily in the top
Oh
five,
yeah.
easily top
What
five,
number one
top three.
seed?
Yeah, number one seed, top five teams, top three teams, most likely, obviously. Um, and you know what? I think we'll be all right. But let's get into the final thoughts here. What do you get? What's your take on tonight's game or today's game?
This morning's game.
This morning's game, technically, and going into tomorrow for last game of the regular season. Crazy.
I mean, I just hope we keep seeing LeBron and AD go off. Like I said before, Aaron, like I want to see playoff energy. I know we're going against these like low seed teams, but I want to see playoff energy from our big guys. I want to see Kuzma step it up tomorrow night because he had a terrible game today and there's no excuse for it. And just come out winning strongly. Like, just stop blowing the lead in the fourth quarter. That's something that I want to see tomorrow night. I don't want us to go into the playoffs with like being weak in that last quarter, those last few minutes. Like, I feel like the Lakers have just been like struggling with that all year. And like you said before, Aaron, that's not how you want to start playing in the playoffs. That's not something we can get away with in a playoff game. So, I mean, even though we took this win today, we got it. We got to be better still. There's still a lot of areas that we need to definitely straighten, and that starts with our defense.
Yeah. Honestly, I couldn't agree with you more. I think honestly in the next obviously 24 hours or so, they're gonna look at film. They're gonna look. They're gonna see how bad their defense collapsed. I mean, when you allow as many points as they did, when you allow over 60 points in the paint
Mm-hmm.
to the opposing team after you scored 80 something at 86 in your last game, there's something where you got to be all on the same page, and I get it because LeBron and AD were not in that game as well, so different chemistry that was out on that court. I think they just need to look at some of that and say, hey, how do we implement exactly what we did in that Rockets game
Yeah.
and bring it to our normal everyday style of play? And please trim. We got to trim down the threes. Nope, like 10, maybe 12, 13 3-point attempts. in a game, and I'd be happy. But we're
Yep.
still taking too many. We're taking 29 3-point attempts a game. That's good, and that's gonna kill us. Once we do that, I feel like the Lakers will be in a better spirit.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, that's going to do it for us for Lakers Live post-game show presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. More exciting news to come, so make sure you are following our social media pages, and we are on Instagram too. So make sure you are following our Instagram, the Ultimate Sports Show. Make sure you're following our Twitter account, our Facebook account. We're also on Twitch for all you gamers out there, and of course YouTube. So make sure you guys tune in. Our next pregame show will be at 5:30 tomorrow, West Coast time, 8:30 Eastern time. For Manny, Medina, and myself, I'm Aaron. Guys, take it easy, guys, and we will see you tomorrow for round 2 against the Pelicans.
See ya.